Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable with Prop News Time. Here we sit down and talk about the latest events in real estate and how they impact us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This week I want to talk about Mumbai's priciest deal so far. Leena Tiwari, the chairperson of USV, purchased a duplex in Namanyana, located in Worli, Mumbai, for an alleged sum of over 700 crores. She's roughly paid 2.8 lakh rupees per square foot. What are your thoughts on this deal?
Well, it's one of the luxury purchases done by an ultra high net worth individual. We have seen quite a few lately where the wealthy are buying into property and they're buying into absolute premium uber luxury properties. So this is a classic example of one of that.
Correct. So luxury properties, literally we categorized anything above 1 CR as luxury at one time. But uber luxury now is basically where the ultra rich are buying properties worth 50 CR and above. Now 50 crore plus houses were not very common earlier. Last year there were a handful of such deals done, about 25-30 across the whole country. This year has been a lot more. There have been close to 169 deals that have been done that have been 50 crore plus. So it is catching up, but it is catching up in a way I don't think anyone expected. And the numbers are so startlingly big at the moment because the base has been so low. There have been so few of these deals that have ever happened to start with that we don't really have a major comparison point in the ultra luxury sector just yet.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons could be that today in the generational wealth, people are wanting to also show and enjoy that wealth. So if somebody wants to have a status symbol, they are more willing to today buy a Rolls Royce or a Maybach rather than just keep it in some investment. So I think the house or a home is the ultimate status symbol for any family. If you look at the top 1% of India's population,
Yes.
okay, and you take the average income, if you take the entire 100% and average income is around 2 lakh odd, but if you take the top 1%, then their average income is around 53 lakhs. So if you say 53 lakhs and I say that your house should be 5 to 6 years of your annual income, then that becomes for 1% a house worth about 2.5, 3 crores. You know?
Yes.
If I take that from that 1% and I make it into 0.1%, then that thing jumps from 53 to 2.5 crores. So if I take 2.5 crores per annum as an income, average income, then the value of their homes should be at least 12 to 15 crores. And DLF has had a big success story with their camellias,
Yeah.
you know, because it's been tremendous. 100 crore flats just
100
flying
crore.
off the shelf.
So the number of billionaires in this country are increasing. So now finally the real estate is catching up to cater to those. Earlier it was maybe luxury products, then cars and technology and items like that. Now it's also come into real estate. And now we are finding this a little surprising upfront because cities have a high land value, which drives up the prices anyways. But the same thing, back then also the uber rich would always want to invest into luxury to show their as a status symbol, as a asset class, all of that. So whether it was palaces or Havelis back then or huge pieces of land, now it's just moved into the cities. And the cities are basically your urban skyscrapers, you know? So you have to build palaces in the sky now, and that is what is finally happening. Earlier you didn't have that concept.
You can
Now
call
you
it a
do.
sky palace, in fact.
Do you think it was worth spending 700 crores on an apartment? Why not buy a private island?
Their primary home, if they are still active in business, as they seem to be, then it would be in the city proper. I don't think you'll have a primary residence in a far-off island. That's a recluse when he's not really active. So I would assume by that, and also as a percentage of their overall wealth, it will be a very small percentage.
True. In fact, most of these big purchases started after the big entrepreneurial boom. So first we started with the whole startup India, the entrepreneurial ventures, unicorns being discovered and stuff like that. But now in the last few years, there have been so many more of the startups also that have gone public, that have raised money and raised big money. So a lot of the entrepreneurial wealth has also increased, and they are again spending on high-end luxury. These are literally a palace, and when you call it a palace in the sky, you're not that off or wrong, because it's literally you have everything in your own house. You have your own private gym, you have your own private pool. All of it is part of what you've bought and paid for. You're buying not just one floor, you're buying 3-4 floors sometimes in these buildings, you know.
So what you're saying is that real estate today is the ultimate symbol to show people you've arrived.
It's not today. It was always the ultimate
It was
symbol.
always, yes.
I don't think the ultimate symbol is a car or anything.
What can be construed as luxury? You read different reports. Sometimes somebody says luxury is anything above 1 crore, anything above 2 crores. How do you understand what construes as luxury real estate?
See, I don't think you can just say luxury, because luxury is a very broad definition, as I told you. I personally feel it is premium, there is luxury, there is uber luxury and all that. And as I just explained, what is the average income of the top 1%? So even if we just take the top 1%, top 0.01% and top 0.001%, you are seeing there's a big difference. There's a 5x difference at every level. So I would call them premium, luxury, uber luxury. So yes, some people will say luxury, like you rightly said, is about 10 crores. Some people, some of them say that it is about 2.5 crores, because you're depending on where you're cutting off. Their prices are climbing, contrary to what people believe that they're softening or, declining.
What's your take on branded luxury residences? We have Trump Towers that has come in. We have a few builders that are bringing in these well-known, internationally renowned brands. Do you believe that such brands can command a further premium?
I don't think they'll command a further premium. Yes, they will command a higher premium maybe than your regular luxury, because each of these brands will come out with their own unique ways in which they define luxury. Whether it's Trump and his use of opulence and gold, or whether it's your new age builders who give you all the fanciest amenities and try and create a smart home for you, literally. I think all of them will have their own unique features that will draw people based on what they want, or what they are after, or what they want to show, what will impress their family, their neighbors, their business associates.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, but I would like to add to that. There are 3 dimensions through which you see this when you call. Because typically luxury means brand. If I say a luxury watch, it has to be branded.
Right.
It won't be unbranded luxury. But however, as Abhay rightly pointed out, in real estate, there was no branded luxury. It was all driven by location, location, location. So you have a great location, you're paying the price because it is the price of land. So naturally, somebody paid a good price, like what we had answered previously, because of the Worli sea face and the view of the sea. The same thing they wouldn't have paid if it was looking at some other area,
Correct.
So my way of looking at luxury and the 3 dimensions are, one, of course, the location is very important, even today. Otherwise, it won't really be construed as luxury. The second would be the amenities and the gentry, because that also can make luxury, it can have a golf course, a virtual golf driving range and things like that. It can have a good gentry. All CEOs stay in that sort of a project. But the third one, which is coming up fast, is what really addresses your question. That is what we call the brand, the designer. It is designed by Armani, or this is a Versace house, or this is a Gucci house, because that designer is now telling you what your interiors will look like. And people are buying into it because they are quite happy that they're going to be in an Armani house or a Versace house. But that's just growing slowly. And when somebody uses brand, it is usually to cover a drawback on the location.
This leads to my next question. You have, especially in a city like Mumbai, you have some of these ultra luxury housing projects that don't have the best approach road, that don't have the best surroundings, but they are managing to sell their flats at a really high premium. Do you see these flats being able to hold their value over a long period of time?
I'll tell you, that is exactly how I answered the previous one. They lost on the first. So they're now hanging on to the second. The second is the gentry and the amenities. So you're claiming that, look, my building is full of CEOs. It's all the C-suite, high-end industrialists. Or you're saying I have 52 amenities. You can't beat
in
me.
a TLF, right?
You know? So they are trying to overcome that by the second, and some of them will overcome by the third, which is the branding. This whole block is designed as a Trump tower, or this block is being designed as a Versace or a Armani tower or something of that sort. So you will then go into the second and third to jockey around. But to answer your question, will it sustain? No. In my opinion, only location will sustain. Because CEOs can move, no?
So see, it's like
amenities can deteriorate and brands can cancel their brands.
It's like basically now India and Bombay and all are relatively new on the global stage in terms of a real estate market. We are growing. People are now learning about us. Our NRI investments have increased steadily over the last few years and stuff like that. But say even look at it internationally, if one were to invest millions of dollars into real estate, would you rather buy that penthouse in Manhattan, New York, or would you rather buy that huge bungalow in LA, near Beverly Hills? Now the thing is, Beverly Hills might give you a much better space, value, lifestyle, all of that. But will its value remain forever? We don't know. But will the New York penthouse value go down? Highly unlikely, no? Because the prices in New York are not going to go down. Now, LA will depend. Now today LA is a Hollywood hub. Tomorrow it might become some other place, in which case then LA will lose its sheen. But a city which a commercial capital of literally the world is not going to lose its.
But however, the difference
sheen.
there, Abhay.
So again, location does make a difference in longevity as well, you know, especially when spending big money involved.
True, but Abhay, the there to counter it would be in Manhattan, you're in a penthouse flat, you're still in a condo. Whereas in Beverly, you can have your own landed property.
Correct.
You have a great villa or a bungalow which gives you a different touch.
Correct.
Then in again, Manhattan, you have a good view of Central Park, you might have, for all you know.
Right.
But in Beverly Hills, you have the sea, you have the ocean. So there are differences. But because both locations are good, actually. Some location might be better. Maybe Manhattan is better than Beverly Hills.
Long term, then you'll just think which areas will survive the longest or have the most value in the long term, no?
We have these properties that are 100 plus crores, right? We believe, say, this year in India, where we should roughly see a price appreciation of about 6.5%. But when you have these properties that are 100, 200, 300 crores, can you expect the property price to appreciate in a similar manner?
No. It's like saying, I expect paintings to go up by 12% this year. Will M.F. Hussein's painting go up by 12%? So I think these are a class by themselves and they have their own demand-supply rules. I don't think you can use a baseline appreciation rate as saying that will the same property which I bought for 100 crores become 106.5 crores next year. It might remain 100 or it might shoot up to 120 also.
Exactly that. It's all about demand and supply. Now the thing in this is, earlier there was no supply. So as supply came about in the limited fashion, there was already a demand, but there was no supply to meet it. So which is why the prices kept skyrocketing and might continue to do so for a while till supply catches up to demand. But now there is a lot of ultra luxury supply also planning on coming in over the next 12-14 months. So hopefully supply and demand will start to catch up, in which case then the capital appreciation will be the same as for the rest of real estate. And as the number of billionaires increase and again supply demand has a mismatch, then prices will go up again.
What do you think drives the market sentiment with real estate that's 100 crores plus?
The market sentiment is simple. It's a status symbol. Why does somebody buy a Rolls Royce? Think about it, when he can buy 100 sedans in the same price. The question is, it's a symbol. You're not interested in quantity anymore. You're interested in the quality. So you buy that one painting, that one rare wine, you will smoke that one great cigar. So these are all status symbols. And if you're rich, and especially if you're wealthy, in my opinion, you will want to avail of those status symbols. So I don't see as to being any sentiment. And these are usually very well thought out decisions. They are not impulse decisions. They are not emotional. I think they're very smart people who buy such things. They know what they are doing, they need the status symbols, and they know they can leverage those much more.
Correct. Chances are everyone who's buying into those are doing it thinking it's a step up, it's a level up. If, like you said, if it was towards the end and this was he had made it and he's got his 100 crores at the end of his life on all his earnings and stuff like that, then he might think, okay, from Delhi, instead of buying a bungalow in Gurgaon, I'll buy a small island somewhere and settle down in peace. But chances are from Delhi, he's buying that house, the 100 crore bungalow in Gurgaon, only because he thinks that's the next step. That's the step up to go from 100 to 200 to 300 or whatever is his goal in life, you know. So, but if, like you said, for the same amount, you can buy a small island somewhere and live in peace also. It just depends on what you're doing it for. Chances are most of them are doing it because they feel it's, and if not for them, it's for their kids or their grandkids the next step. So they'll do it thinking along those lines.
Correct. I think I agree with you.
The other big news of the week has been the repo rate cut announced by the RBI. What are your thoughts on those?
See, if you ask me, I think it was timely, it was necessary because it gives further wind under the wings of the housing sector that's taking off. Because now we have seen almost 100 basis point or a 1% cut from the earlier one. So there's bound to be, and we expect housing finance rates to go below 8% now, which is a big plus point in my opinion, significant plus point. This will improve the base of the pyramid, the affordable housing and all that. It's a big impetus to them because they get higher loan eligibility or the EMIs are much more easier to digest. Will it impact luxury housing if you're connecting it to the earlier one? No, they don't need loans. They might not be even taking loans except where it is a tax shelter. So, but I think for the common man, it is great. This is a wonderful news.
The closer the rent and EMI gets, it's always a bigger boost for the housing market and the economy also on the whole. Because the more people that even move from rental to buying, at the end of the day, the minute you buy, you look at the country, the locality, your location, your building, everything differently. Suddenly, you are not a temporary part of this place. You're a permanent part of this place and you've chosen that.
Right.
You're sinking your roots there.
Exactly.
Literally.
It was not because you were born here. It was not because of anything else. You've chosen to buy a house and live here and spend your life here, grow your roots here. And I feel that makes a huge difference. And countries where buying is more popular than renting will, I feel, always have stronger roots, you know, to grow on. And real estate needs that. We are still in its infancy. So I feel it needs strong roots. We've been discussing the heights it's reached, but we do need strong roots as well, you know. Yeah. And I feel this is a very good move by the RBI in terms of helping India achieve that and move in that direction.
True.
That's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do share your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. Like, share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for regular notifications. Don't forget to follow us on social media. The links to our handles are mentioned in the description below. Until next week, thank you so much for tuning in.